Hello, friends. Welcome to my show, CityClips. Thank you so much. Rich Smith, another fellow entrepreneur and community-driven professional here in town. Super awesome to have you on. You're pretty much running the show behind Impact Week, so really glad you could be here to join us today and to take time out of your busy schedule. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Julia. And good morning to you. I appreciate you making the time for us. I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. We booked this like months in advance. So I was like, we got to time it so it's not too far from Impact Week. First, like if you can give us an idea of what you do, because you have critical business group, you manage multiple things, you have multiple hats. So tell us how you got to Tallahassee and when you started your business.
I'd love to see if I can make that journey a quick, as concise as possible for you. But first of all, for the audience, my name is Rich Smith. I am located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, and I currently serve as CEO of my private consulting firm called Critical Business Group. I'm also the co-founder of two nonprofits. One is Innovate TLH, and the other is Impact Week. So I have a background in business development and entrepreneurship, and my expertise, I would say, lies in kind of fostering the growth and success of startups, small businesses, and nonprofits. So we kind of touch a lot of people in the ecosystem. Of course, my role as like CEO of the business is just kind of building professional, dynamic, diverse, creative teams. I kind of see myself as a fractional CEO. We work for many different companies at a fractional kind of position. So we may not work with someone for very long. We maybe have short-term contracts, but we also may have, there's a couple of clients that we've worked with for many years. But again, building kind of sustainable business models through Critical Business Group, and then just kind of helping business owners prepare for success and succession planning and also exit strategy. So my role in the community, kind of as a startup co-founder, I've been involved in several startups. Kind of my expertise is bringing that MVP product to market, kind of building enterprise client base, doing marketing, and really getting out there and introducing the product. That also includes Impact Week. You may be familiar with Impact Week. This was formerly called Techstar Startup or Startup Week with Domi Station. Domi Station is still very much a partner with us, and as well as some other partners, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But we rebranded Tallahassee Startup Week to be Impact Week. We got some rave reviews on the rebranding, not just aesthetically, but just from the name. Like if you're doing anything in the community, like how do you impact the community? This conference is for you. We started it with just kind of a really broad net, and people did kind of struggle with the messaging, and so did we, to kind of say, hey, it's for everyone. But at the core, it's a networking event, and this truly is a business conference. It's a small business conference for startups, nonprofits, as well as small business. So we rebranded, we built the board, we've got committee members from across the community, we've got volunteers. So we're really super excited to be where we are with Impact Week right now, coming up in November. And we'll get into a little bit of that as well. And then finally, just kind of my other roles within the community is I'm supporting and I support and mentor students at the Jim Moran College. So they have a wonderful thing through the Blackstone Project, which is usually hosted over at JMI downtown. And we listen to students give pitches, and we provide feedback. And if a student likes kind of working with you, they'll work through their professor and they'll mentor you up. So I've got 2 students now that I'm mentoring through that program, as well as being a contracted business consultant through the Small Business Development Center. I'm working here locally with that center at FAMU to kind of grow and get the word out about the Small Business Development Center. If you haven't checked that out, you need to talk to me about that. That's a really exciting thing for startups in our community as well. There's a couple other things, mentoring team. So that's based out of Miami. We do mentoring globally. We listen to 1-minute pitches. We put teams together and we offer free advice to people putting their team together. And then locally, I'm your community organizer for the Global Entrepreneurial Network. So we have connections globally through lots of programs, and I'm excited to get more involved and bring that and to help put the Tallahassee name out there as we continue to do these things locally.
That's so well, like that was well done. How did you to capture all of that?
So lots of practice, right? And you were. So when people say, "What do you do?" and you mentioned the many hats that they're, but without a good support system, without the love and support of my family and partners and mentors that I had along the way, and people that continue to support and reach out to me, it makes it a lot easier. So.
That was great. And I know we want to touch a little bit more about Impact Week and talk about it some more, but I wanted to share, because I did pull up the Impact Week website, but I also wanted to make sure I pull up your business. So did you always, like, how long have you been an entrepreneur and business owner? Have you worked with someone before and then eventually discovered it, or is this something that you've always planned to do, own your own business?
No, my parents own their own business. So from the very start, I was involved in small business. They ran a convenience store. They had two at one time, and it was kind of we like to call them tourist traps, right? So it's on the beach. It was in coastal North Carolina. They sold T-shirts and souvenirs and gas and food and groceries and multitudes. So that was my job through high school. So I learned, and then you become the general manager, if you will. They would run the business during the day. I would run it at night. And my two sisters were a part of it as well. So it starts way early, right? So working alongside of my grandfather and my mother and my father running a business, it just was kind of ingrained in me super early. But went to school, have a background in graphic and web design from the Art Institute. So I have a BFA, and then business as well. So 2 years of business. And then I actually started Critical when I was in art school. The DBA, we started when we were doing branding and logos for other students that were doing their portfolio. So I've had the same DBA since 2006. And with one slight change, we were a design agency. So we were just focused on creative. So we did all the branding and the websites and that kind of stuff. And then slowly, here we are, 2006. So 2026 will be our 20-year, pushing 20 years of experience. We made the shift into business group. You just get better at business, right? You get better at asking the right questions, like, why are you building a website? What do you want to do? Let's work on your business plan. So we do a lot of business planning and business strategy, working with small business owners and startups, trying to get things off their plate and let them focus on the day-to-day so they can generate revenue. It's like, what can we do? Okay, let's outsource that. Okay, we don't have money to do that. Let's figure out a way to generate revenue to pay for this thing. And then we hire locally. We encourage people to hire within the ecosystem. Find somebody that's doing that. If you're looking for an accountant that's just starting out, there's an accountant for that. And then slowly you graduate, you hire up, and you keep things within the community. So yeah, that's kind of the journey, or that's kind of the premise with Critical Business Group. So again, focusing on business strategy, business planning.
And now, I mean, I love that you have a design background too, because I do too. And then they always joke, like before, I think creatives and designers used to be really undervalued, but I think now it's starting to flip, and there's so much value in knowing both the business aspect and also being strong in, having a strength in visual, I guess you could say performance and just proficiency. And so I was going to ask you. Yeah, go ahead.
It puts you in a unique perspective, right? So we do a lot of subcontracting with the state. So the state has creative needs, whether it's digital marketing or website. So I can come into a meeting and I can talk to the executives or the shareholders or the stakeholders, take their ideas and translate it back to a design team as efficient as possible, right? Because I can say in the meeting, you can't do that. Here's the process. Here's the creative process. Here's what we can do with the functionality of that website. And I have basically all the answers before I come back to the design team. They're like, oh yeah, we can do that. So I found a unique position here in Tallahassee at the state. as a liaison between those two things, being able to speak the language on both sides.
And I love what you've done, what you guys did with the rebrand. Because, I worked on Startup Week a couple times prior with Techstars and everything. And I'm so glad you guys were able to just kind of do a spin-off and do your own thing and really do something of high, like it's so much work, So we had talked about it and you were fine with me asking you online, the value of running an event like this, it costs a lot. So how much would you say would it cost to run this and organize it and even put the level of design and creative work that you've put into?
I mean, as soon as we wrapped up last year, so the event's in November, right? We hold it in November every year because it coincides with one of our strategic partners, which is Global Entrepreneurial Network. So globally, you have this entrepreneurial thing going on in November, and we can put our events on their calendar, and we rank nationally. We have 18 confirmed speakers for Impact Week. And then we have breakout workshops. Those all count as events. So we're looking at 30, 40 events that we can put on this calendar globally, and they rank us. Last year, we were like top 5 because we did it all week. We did condense it a little bit. We had 5 days of speakers last year. So we had like 50 events just in speaking. And so we condensed that to make it a little bit more concise and the opportunity for people to catch more speakers and offer the workshops. But think about where this is a 6-figure event. I mean, by the time the Challenger Learning Center, come on, the IMAX Theater, the Planetarium. I mean, this is a top-notch venue. They just did some major upgrades too. Alan Hanstein over there at the Challenger has been an amazing partner with this. I'll have to get details from him, but I believe he told me they are now the most sophisticated Challenger Learning Center in the nation, with the level of programming and the sophistication of the software that they have. And we're going to demo that during Impact Week. So if you don't come to Impact Week for a speaker or a workshop, you'll get notification that you get an invitation to sit down in the chairs in the planetarium, and we do a shot to the moon. And you really have to hold on. If you haven't seen it yet,
that's cool.
It's really interesting. So we're going to do some demos with the Challenger Center. Again, Alan, thank you. Great partner over there. It is truly a phenomenal venue to be able to put this on downtown. But by the time you factor in, our company's time, our partners' time, the volunteers' time, the promotional stuff that you put together, right? The website building. It's truly, a 6-figure event. So we're excited to launch it this year to the public. We're excited to grow the attendance and really just start to share. So you'll start seeing some stuff come out now. Our press release is about to roll out. We've got some radio advertisement coming. And we're excited to announce too, like the partners, like we're partnering with the Small Business Development Center at FAMU. They have been phenomenal in some of the stuff that they are going to offer at Impact Week, doing if you're a small business or a startup, they're going to do a live plant like business workshops. We're going to have some of their workshops live and facilitated during the week of Impact Week.
Yeah, that's what I really liked about that whole week. And I'm glad you guys actually pared down, because I think people will be more inclined to actually participate in all of the events in a few days versus like, oh, the whole week, I don't even know where to start. Because when I helped co-organize it a few years ago, I was like, I think everyone doesn't even know like when to attend. They'll come a few days, but not the whole thing. But yeah, so I'm really excited about what you guys have lined up for this year. And thank you again for including me as a part of the speaker series. So is there anything in particular that you wanted to focus on as far as the most urgent need right now? We are going to promote Impact Week all month on CityClips, obviously.
Yes, thanks to CityClips and for putting us out there. Right now, we're in the social share marketing strategy campaign, so you're going to start seeing stuff. So follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn. We're going to be doing some giveaways and partnering with CityClips, and we'll get into some details of that. But we've got 1-day passes to give away. We have 3-day passes to give away, and we've got some VIP packages that we want to give away. VIP packages includes the headshot, an interview. So the whole idea with Impact Week is to provide value to the attendees and the small businesses and the startups. We want to give you that headshot. We want to give you that content back. We're going to sit down and have an interview with you, a short interview, talk about your business and your journey, a much more condensed version of what we're doing here today with CityClips. Then you can turn around and post them on social, or you can chop it up. So we're trying to find ways to create value and give people things that they're looking for that they would otherwise have to outsource or just spend. That takes time out of your day to spend 10, 15, 20 hours a week to find the right person, the right videographer, the right photographer that can do what I want. Come to Impact Week, check those people out. We'll have photographers, we'll have them roaming around. The whole idea is to stop and talk to anybody. But if you go to the website, you can once you get your ticket, you can book your headshot, you can book your video, you can book your workshop. So we just have tons and tons of value. And if I can't stress that word enough, it's value, right? We want to put on something where if you attend or you're a speaker, it's rewarding. You're getting something out of it. You met someone, and at the end of the day, if two people meet and we work on a project together and it creates an economic impact, even better. I mean, those are kind of our long-term KPIs, to bring people to Tallahassee, to book hotel rooms and have people eat in our restaurants during the week of Impact Week. And if you're out there and you're an association, we've got a great creative group that I've met with, the TLH Collective Creative Group. We talk all the time about how do we bring in like Design Week that we did a couple of years ago, and more focused on that kind of stuff. So even though it says Impact Week, we really want to celebrate everyone all year long. How do we talk to each other, and how do we promote what we're doing? We've had great conversations with Taltech and Nat 20 and like all those different organizations, and like we're working on a collaborative and like just trying to condense the calendar. Julia with CityClips, like let's get everything in one location. So there's a lot of exciting things I think that are really starting to happen.
I like how, and that's one of my favorite things about Impact Week is really, it's like almost like an opportunity for the community to get together, the business community to get together here locally, celebrate one another, highlight our, talents, our skills, and educate one another too. And I've met so many cool people through Impact Week. I met you at Impact Week, or excuse me, formerly known as Techstars, but
right
when it
and
was
just,
that, and then now events like Impact Week.
And that's just it. Tallahassee, you think, is a small community, but it is so diverse. It is such a melting pot, from the arts and Railroad Square and Coca, and then FSU and FAMU, and there is so much happening. We just had another awesome event at Challenger, was the Tallahassee Film Festival. The place was packed. I was so sorry that I couldn't make it there, but it just was amazing stuff going on all the time. And it's just like, I can't wait to talk to them. Like, how are, like success stories. Let's promote that and really, really get the name of things out there. So but it is hard to manage the calendar. Sometimes there's 4 or 5 things in the same week or the same weekend.
Right. And I think it's funny because it's a big town, small city feel for Tallahassee. So like, I know with bigger cities, there's no way you could avoid conflict. There's going to be big events all over the place. But then here it's like at that weird inflection point of, oh, we're getting to the point of small city, small, tiny city, but then, still small enough for everyone to know one another.
And all of those are really networking opportunities, right? Whether you go to a Taltech, a Nat 20, a Lunch and Learn, a film festival, all of those are networking opportunities. And we're just focused on building those relationships and, how do we continue to connect with each other, like-minded professionals. Oh, I didn't know you were working on building a newsletter. I've been doing that too. How do we join forces and really like push this idea forward? And just creating that community engagement. I mean, we want to support the local community. We want volunteers. We have initiatives aimed to giving back. One of my goals, I talked about the goals of bringing people in the hotels and the rest. Like, I want to start a business grant. Like, I would love to have a sponsor that, whether it's a bank or whoever, it doesn't really, it's a lot of businesses or startups are looking for money to just get started. And that brings in our pitch event. So we're partnering with Domi, and on Tuesday, November 20th is the date, the first day, the 19th. So it's the first night of Impact Week. Domi will do their pitch event, and I think they're working on the application now. You can probably click on our site and it takes you over to it. But one of the cool things about that, it's in the IMAX theater. You get to put your PowerPoint or your presentation or your pitch deck on a 3-story tall screen. I mean, if there's nothing else worth, doing a pitch event, it's like, how cool is that? That's pretty amazing. But yeah, so thanks to Domi for helping us put on that pitch event. We're just trying to collaborate with the community and put as many things as we can. And again, offering value. So if we can provide that value, we've got the venue, we've got the stage, just come and be part of it.
There's a couple questions I want to ask you before we start wrapping up, but how do you manage all of this? It's just so much to keep up with. And then the I guess to end with, if there's any advice, because you're a mentor already, what would you give to the budding entrepreneur, or if you have a preference as who you'd want to leave lasting words to? So how do you manage all of these different things? And what kind of advice would you like to give and end with?
Yeah, well, first you have to compartmentalize everything, right? You have to put that hat on. You have to wake up in the morning, and you have to be intentional and purposeful. So again, like I say, the value, like that's my intent, that's my purpose, to provide value. And the same thing with organization. So whether I'm doing an Innovate TLH or an Impact Week, depending on what board you see behind me or what hat you have on that day, it's as simple as the calendar. I mean, blocking off your calendar, using project management tools. We use Trello. There's no affiliate marketing here. We just that's part of what I do. Like I say, hey, we use this. Try this tool. It may be successful for you, but it's organizations. You really just have to be mindful and intentional. And yeah, it gets crazy when your email box is full of 20 messages from 3 different businesses. But like I said, you just compartmentalize them. You organize your browser with folders. You set up the scripts in Google so that those emails are going into the right folders and you're not searching. And you be intentional. You intentionally don't manage projects in text messaging. You intentionally don't manage projects in email. You do intentionally manage them in your project management tool. You can gently, nudge people to say, hey, I got that text about ABC. Do you mind putting that on the project management board so that we can manage it appropriately? And that's just culture, training, experience over the years, because the last thing you want to do is like, where is that thing that somebody sent me? I'm managing 6 different things. So just be intentional. I would say that's kind of the organizational. I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, but there are tools
that's great.
that will help you with that.
I love how practical that is. Yeah.
And the last part of your question was, remind me.
Yeah. So like, as far as advice, more like, inspirational advice, what keeps you going? You have your family and you're running your multiple businesses and organizations and mentoring. How do you, what keeps you, what drives you?
Well, there's a balance, right? So there's a work-life balance, right? So what's important to you? You don't just set goals for your business, right? Like financial goals or that types of thing, but you set personal and professional goals. Like personally for me, it sounds like I'm managing a lot, but the mentoring with FSU, how rewarding is that for both of you? And you continue to grow. Plus, it's an advantage to me. I get to see what younger minds are thinking about coming out of school. Where is their mindset? What are they doing? What are they thinking about? Same with the venture mentoring team out of Miami. I went through 6 interviews to be vetted for that team, but now we're growing it from Miami to Florida to the nation to globally. And I'm hearing pitch scrubs from people in other countries. And then we just offer advice. Sometimes they have teams of, these are, people with Harvard law degrees. You've got mentors. So if you haven't checked that out, I would suggest that, and I could talk to them more about it. But it's really just about growing professionally. That's kind of what drives me. I'm always learning. I've never been a really big book reader. I've always been like, let me go to the conference, let me go to the event. But I do have some key books that I've read, marketing and that kind of stuff. So I would encourage you to read, because obviously that helps your business acumen and your vocabulary with all that. And there's just good conversation starters. But I've always been, like I mentioned earlier, like bringing that MVP to market, that kind of stuff. That's kind of like my realm and what excites me. I'm like, oh, you have an idea? Let's test the market. Let's put it out there and see if it's not right. Well, that's how you get customer feedback, right? And then we can test and see if there's a market. So other tips, keep a binder or a journal or something, by your bedside with a little flashlight and a pen. And when you think of that idea in the middle of the night, you grab your book, you write it down, you got your flashlight, and then you can go back to sleep. Finally, I don't keep my phone. Once everything stays downstairs, once it's time for bed, I go to bed. You can train your mind. And there's books on these too and studies. Where you're working, or if it's on the couch or the kitchen table, if you're a remote worker or in bed, you're telling your brain that this is a work environment. So if you can leave your phone away from the bedroom and not where you go to sleep, you will get a more peaceful, and I think studies shows that it takes your brain like 30 minutes to slow down after like scrolling on social media or any things like that. You just kind of, so that's just a personal tip. I don't keep any devices when I'm ready to go to bed, and I try to not check them like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes before I go to bed.
That's so healthy. And that was so good. And that's really being intentional too. And just whatever, like you're being focused at the time that you're given for those different things that you have in your life. And so this was really helpful. You mentored me through this session. And as people might see that I have like different shows, but this is all about obviously CityClips and highlighting local entrepreneurs and everything related to Tallahassee for business and tech. And Impact Week really highlights everything about that. So I really look forward to that. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this. We really could do this again for a full hour.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about, and like I said, there are some exciting things that are happening in Tallahassee. So just stay tuned. Follow CityClips. Look at the things that Julie is doing out there. And again, thank you for having me on here and letting me giving you an insight to my little part of the ecosystem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you want, like, if we want to highlight any of your speakers to continue to promote Impact Week up until then, like there's plenty of time to do so. So anyone who wants to, among the speakers and guest speakers for the event, like y'all are welcome to just hop on weekly on a Wednesday morning. That's when the show is. We don't really necessarily have to focus on CityClips updates all the time. I actually prefer not to. Progress is still slow, but Ollie's going to get on that growth side of things pretty soon.
Maybe you can do a live podcast during Impact Week.
Yeah. No, I know. I'll team up with.
I'll put you on the spot.
Yeah. I just need to get my best equipment together by then. So, but yeah, Thank you so much, Rich. Feel free to like hop off at some point, and I can do the drawing. If you want to watch the drawing, you're welcome to do so. And then I will wrap up. I'm going to pull this thing off. Do you have a hard stop?
I'm good.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Thanks for those who are watching. There's actually some people watching right now. I can't tell who they are, but thank you for hopping on and watching the whole show. Appreciate it. And we will do our weekly drawing. Drum roll, please. We just do this thing where we just get names off the list of those who we didn't select for past drawings. Kara, you are the lucky winner for this week. So we're going to hook you up with something. Maybe it's already now. At this point, we can start featuring, but Rich and I will get together and talk about the details for the giveaways. We'll highlight those throughout the month. Watch out for those and get people to subscribe and register. RSVP for Impact Week, guys.
Thanks so much, Julia.
Go ahead and end the stream.